Shraddha. Okay? Faith. Shraddha. To be just there and know your place as a component of all creation. And if you can conceive that you are not human, that you're just another part of creation, has it happened? And because of your philosophical abilities and your moral conduct, you can classify that as the human species and think yourself so different with arrogance than any other creation. You will forget that you're still an animal with passion. And this passion is the rage that takes you by force without consulting you and causes you to aggress others. Now, there is beauty in those volcanic explosions, but it causes suffering, so you must gain mastery over yourself. To have a holy mind is not to stop being a force of nature. It's not to destroy yourself as a human or as an animal. Shraddha is just to contemplate that things are as they are and this is my place now. And that is faith. Faith is just to be there. It is a quest for simplicity. Through all the turmoils of the volcanoes and the tsunamis inside you, all the emotional pressures rising, Shraddha is to just breathe and feel the aggression inside, so it doesn't need to be projected on others. Just breathe and feel that pain inside. Oh, I want to get in someone else's face right now. I'm angry. You know, when you're angry and you want to wipe out an entire family or an entire group of people, they should die. According to your perception, they should die. According to theirs, you're the one who should die. When will this stop? It takes only one person in any party of the conflicting parties to decide, okay, what's going on inside? What makes me entertain that war? Okay. Faith is that stillness, that hard rock that you decide to become, not in denial, not by refusing. I'm not angry, I refuse it. That's not good. I'm angry, I don't need to kill someone about it. Okay? Because my place right now is this, angry. I don't step out of that place that I found myself as. I was made now to just be here in that way. What is that aggression? What's going on? And the courage and the positive thinking of knowing you can vanquish any kind of pressure that rises from you and attacks you. So Shraddha, you push it to the extreme. This is my place. I'll stand my ground and face whatever demon roams inside me. And I can deal with that. So it's a very vulnerable place to be. It is a vulnerable, it's not a powerful place to be, although it's extremely powerful in feeling. It's Shraddha, I'm here. It's base chakra, it's the Kuji and Rin, it just sinks you to the ground, for example. Okay. Shraddha is that powerful faith that you know you can remain unmoved, but there's still a volcano exploding and a tsunami pushing you around. Can you grasp this? Can you understand that? So breathe. Evoke in your mind an explosion of anger you had lately. Please invoke in your mind the story. An explosion of anger you had, especially relating to family matters or loved ones. Okay? You will not have to tell your story to anyone, so just go awaken something. You were very angry at situations. Your family or for your loved ones. You breathe. Remember that explosive anger that happened and just sink in. You ask yourself, where is my place? You know, whatever caused you to become so explosive or angry or irritated or affected, and that power, that animal power that just wants to come out and transfer the aggression to the other, and the animal reflex, the passion that inhabits the whole of nature, and that passion of every animal, every natural mineral in, you know, the clouds coming down in the storm, the lightning, there's passion like this everywhere. And that passion that will just fall on others, resulting in destruction of your relationships, maybe hindering your health and others. All that powerful hatred. Breathe in it. What happened for you to be such a volcano at that moment that made you lose your position in the world of God? That made you lose your Shraddha foundation? What makes you lose your Shraddha? You have to find it. Huh? It's the attachment, it's the anger, the control you want over others. You want to control so much. It's not happening how I want. Rah! So you breathe and you look at your ego with humility. To be a saint is not to be absent of passion like it is found anywhere else in nature. It is to be free from that power where you decide if you would just destroy others or let it breathe. If you need to cry, you just let it go. It's okay. It's okay to cry, and for respect of others, we try to be non-dramatic about crying, making as little sound as possible, but it's appropriate to do it. Let her be, it's okay. She has the right to. Freedom, very important. The power that you have inside you will kill you and destroy you. Small little event here, small little event there, accumulates, big event here and there. That passionate animal pressure that rises from within, with no discernment. It is unwise. It's purely as God created you, as an animal. And then you'll say, oh, I'm not human. I'm not human. I'm just one of those pressures. So you contemplate those anger moments, those passionate repressals or those passionate denials. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Arrogant, challenging, thinking you're always better than others, but yet still a slave of all those natural forces. Now that's the point. The ego is that part of you. The ego is not something which is not you, but from within you it operates you. No, that's not it. The ego is you. You are that ego. And you are that force that always wants to be better than anyone else. I'm right and the others are wrong. And that accumulates, and combine this with the anger, volcanic explosion. Combine the I'm right about everything with I'm gonna destroy you feeling, and you're just gonna lose everything that makes sense. And what happens after what? Guilt? Shame? I've screwed up because I was out of place. I'm so sorry, but it's too late. You think it's gonna repair anything? Well, this is where forgiveness kicks in. Forgiveness. You look at yourself inside. Forgiveness. Because you were not born with the software required to deal with that powerful information. You were not born with the skills and the competence to deal with nature. You were born an animal told that you were not an animal. So you were immediately raised as a denial of your nature. And then you freak out and you mess up and you're so guilty and shameful. Maybe because you were way out in your anger crisis. Maybe because you were way too in repressal and you abstracted yourself from collectivity and felt alone all your life. But whatever natural force pushed you into your suffering, it starts with a denial. And that is losing your shraddha, your grounds, which is faith, a holy state of faith. Okay? So forgiveness is understanding, I messed up, I did not know better. It wasn't my fault. I was just an animal. Now I know. Never take for granted that you have resolved every issue. I go in Buddha states anytime I want. And every time spent in a human state, I mess up like anyone. Mess up according to who? I don't call it mess up, but you would, so I'll say it. We just experience life in various ways. That pondering, that contemplation I'm guiding you through this morning is for you to grasp more depth that single word mantra, shraddha. How will you define your grounds, your holy place, which is not a fixed place? Usually it's where you are at the moment you are, because this is where you are. But how will you define it? As a slave of nature? As a volcano destroying everything around you with no discernment? Will you take that anger power? Will you take that sorrow? That violent projection? That blame? Look at blame. Let's take blame. That is not shraddha. Look at when you blame others. I'm the one suffering, but it's your fault. Okay, but you're still the one suffering, regardless whose fault it is. How are you going to deal with that? Okay. The holy attitude is to take the next experience one at a time with forgiveness. Not the forgiveness that you think in your mind. Not the forgiveness you were intellectually trained. But the forgiveness as a state of being. Let's try to understand what happened. And if I'm affected, then I'm the one affected. You understand integration. I'm the one suffering. I have to be responsible about it. It starts with that. So breathe. Forgiveness as a first step. Accepting that you were not built with the experience to deal with yourself. You are not built with fate. There is this new agey, so fun wisdom filled with dreams and illusion of perfection that says that a children is born enlightened and it is perfect and it is conditioned out of perfection. There is no perfection. There is no imperfection. And a child is not born equipped to deal with that. Like if our anger and our violence was only the result of conditioning. And we say a child is born, innocent and beautiful. And we grow to be angry and violent with time. But that's bullshit. A child is born an animal. And when he's hungry, if he had the strength to break your arm to get the milk, he would. If you had children, you've seen that. It goes to extreme power. Thank God it doesn't weigh 300 pounds with the mace. Because there is no discernment and there is power. We don't call it violence because it is absolute innocence. Innocence, yes. But you call it violence when it's not supposed to be innocent anymore. But when you have been angry in your life, you did not know. It just happened. You were still innocent. Therefore, it was not violence. You were still just a child unequipped, even if you were 30 or 50-year-old. You were just not built with the wisdom to deal with that pressure. Like any baby, when did you start calling it violence in your human conceptions? Huh? Because of all these rules that you've put, the moral conduct that says now you should behave. Okay. Violence exists only because of repressal. Violence exists from the point in your life that we teach you now you should know how to repress your feelings, not to be powerful. Breathe. It doesn't mean to lay way to that power and become violent. It doesn't justify violence. It doesn't justify the application of force on others that causes suffering. But the baby is just powerful, not physically strong enough to enact it. Huh? You understand? There's the pure animal pressure, which is the beautiful grace of God. It's the same thing. That beauty and that innocence that we find in children is their unconditioned passion to live. But it is this baby level passion that causes you to explode at any other random time in your life. When did it start to become violent instead of just power? When did it become ugly instead of beautiful? Oh, look, he's fighting to get to the nipple. Oh, look, he's trying to climb those stairs. Look how strong he is. Rah, rah, rah. I mean, if he was stronger and more equipped, he would just destroy the entire staircase. But it's just that bit, you know? So we find this beautiful and innocent. When do you switch your perception to make it something evil and ugly? And that pushes you out of Chitani. When did you start judging pure forces of nature that you are built with? Read and look at it. It's okay. We are also trained and conditioned to come out of the holy state. I will say, like some New Agers like to say, a baby is born enlightened. A baby is also born passionate and powerful and animal. So the more we are conditioned in morality, the more we develop our philosophical abilities in our mind, the more we step away from the true state of nature. Obviously, there is also compassion. Compassion requires us to focus on what causes happiness and avoid focusing on what causes suffering, but it happens nonetheless. So when it happens, why do you hate yourself so much? You're just a force of nature. How come you hate yourself so much for ruining your life and others' lives, for ruining your relationship and those who love you because you were so angry? It does not justify the violence, but it guides you towards forgiveness. Try to understand. It is a power that you don't master until you train. Forgiveness is understanding and accepting humbly, I'm still weak as much as I'm powerful. I'm still arrogant as much as I try to be humble. I'm still a liar and I'm still honest. I'm all of those things. I still have all those pressures inside me. So you need to breathe and feel your emotions now. Trying to grasp the beauty of the forces of nature and stop judging them as evil or ugly. Although someone taking a gun and killing another causes suffering, so we must stop it. But when did it become ugly? It's not obvious, huh? To see how we judge everything we perceive. And Chaitanya is that hard work. Ooh. To act with virtue, fully accepting nature how it was built. Nonetheless, when it causes suffering, we manage it in order to bring it to a state of happiness. The responsibility to take care of it. That maybe is what makes us human. We have the ability to take charge of that natural power inside us, which other animals can't. But until we do take charge of that natural power, we are just animals. It takes a lot of humility to just admit it. Okay, that's the animal, that's what I am. I'm that. I accept it, I take it. And usually, the great conflicts in a love relationship is a good ground to start, good base to start your research about that pressure, that power. And the relationship between parents and children is also a very good place to start. This anger, this hatred of natural forces that we have. And that is what pulls us out of Chaitanya, of the pure objective mindset of taking things exactly as they are. Okay, there's attachment, it causes suffering. There's anger, it wants to destroy a relationship. Physical or verbal violence is still violence. And of course it's violence just because we judge it. It could be beautiful expressions of power, but because they cause suffering, let's stop it. Where did it stop being beautiful? It's just power. Rah! For an animal, joy and anger is the same thing. It's identical. Ah! Both things is one expression. It's just power. Joy and anger, not hatred. Hatred is a poison. Anger is just an expression of that power, and that is joy. And of course the warriors are those in that situation to experience both at the same time. By going to a battle and that destructive force is something beautiful, and martial artists understand. Da! Before someone dies, it's wonderful. Before we're hurt, it's wonderful. And in the case of Sapsagni, even when hurt, it's beautiful. It's just let's try not to die. So that animal power that we have inside, it becomes ugly when we judge it, when we are in the equation, when the volcano kills loved ones. If it's an eruption of a volcano, it's beautiful. If the downpour of lava kills 100 people and destroys $1 billion of infrastructures, we will say, bummer, too bad for them, it's not cool. And beautiful volcano nonetheless. It just, you don't mind until it kills your own loved ones. And then, shit, my family is dead in that volcano eruption. When does it stop being beautiful? When you're in the equation, when you are a human being instead of an animal. When you are a human, it hurts. When you are an animal, when you forget even the animal, when you're just a creation of God as you are, it's just an experience. It causes suffering, that's my attachment, let's go through it, let's work, let's integrate. Huh?
Must we maintain Chitani in dealing with darker forces also?
Chitani is a practice as much as Shraddha and Brahmani. It's a practice that you do to contemplate it. And when you're dealing with something, you deal with it. You forget about the practice of the holy state. That is meant to inspire you the possibilities, so then you focus on managing that, you'll be able to manage it. Nonetheless, the Chitani mind state means there is no evil. A demon is a creation of God. Come into my heart, I love you. Not obvious. And also extremely stupid if you're not a trained exorcist. Because it will come in your heart and devour you. And as the soul will find it beautiful, it'll still be a bummer because you'll be dead. So don't do that. It causes suffering. Don't do it. But when did a demon stop being beautiful? Alright? But it causes suffering, stop it. Okay, let's take a break now. Let's read.